Joseph Pavlenko guiding the ship as we go. Go back to that high fastball, and just one of those pitches you can't lay off of. Viramonte swings through it.
See, I looked over to my right and thought I was sitting next to the Winter Soldier.
So Sarah steps up to bat now for Golden West College, batting .214. Takes that first pitch for a ball. Playing second base for the Rustlers. And don't let their numbers be deceptive when you look at the numbers they've got here. Too many times we get caught up in calling a game and we look at the numbers. You know, you can bat a strong low number. Ball gets away, runner advances to second base on a pass ball. If you look at teams down here in the Orange County market, Villa Park and Los Alamitos in the top in the game of softball. If we go down to San Diego, Mater Dei Catholic is in the top 15. Ball two. And we mentioned a lot of Northern California teams on those first 15 teams that were up there, and Ed Ford would tell you, yeah, Northern California has outrageous softball programs going on that do transition to community college level. 2-0, 1 out, runner on second. A little just undercut swing. Ballesteros is on deck. Lopez brings it, off speed for a strike. Nice little change of speed there, Ryan, to make the batter swing through the pitch.
And you see it, Mark, when you change speeds that quickly, back-to-back pitches, it's very hard as a batter to go up there and try and time it correctly, especially if you follow up a fastball with a breaking ball.
She comes back with the exact same pitch on that one. So, strike two. So 2 outs in this inning. Runner still at second for Golden West College. Brings up Ballesteros, who's playing right field for the Rustlers today. Ballesteros looking for that RBI to give them a 2-0 lead in this. Takes that one right down the middle.
For Lopez, that's a good solid pitch to not only get back into account, but also reset her mindset going into the end of this top half of the inning and then into the third. Because you've seen her miss with normal pitches that she would land like her breaking ball on the outside corner. So you go fastball outside in that same location. It gives you the mentality, you know what, I can place this. And it gets you back into account.
And you look at Rianne Ballesteros up there, Ryan. She's really a slap hitter. Hitters have to be on top of the plate and just beat you out with their foot speed. Fouls that one off. 1-2, 2 outs. Runner at second. The Rustlers started this off with a walk, a hit, and a double steal to score the first run. Strike three call.
And you saw that at bat, Mark. every single pitch was on the outside half to a slap hitter. The last one, fastball inside.
So Lopez strikes out the side after giving up a hit. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 person left on base. As we head to the bottom of the second, it's the Rustlers 1, the Hornets nothing, here on Sportsnet, USA.net. Other games going around the area?
There are indeed, Mark, around the entire state of California. As we mentioned yesterday, it's the same kind of situation with baseball as well, as you'll see here on the out-of-town scoreboard, Saddleback and Santiago Canyon. That one's just getting underway. We'll get more on that in a little bit as they report the scores. Cypress and Santa Ana. Santa Ana took game number 1 there, Joseph and Mark, and that is huge for Fullerton College because now it pulls them into a tie with Cypress at the top of the leaderboard for the regular season OEC standings. Shabbat West Valley, they started off at 3 p.m. Hartnell and San Jose are tied at 0. And Mount Sac and Biola University, they were supposed to play a doubleheader today. That ends up being canceled.
Wow. Wow. Some of the action from around the way. Of course, Ryan brings up an interesting thing. You talked about the regular season. We were just given permission today. At the end of this season, the first weekend of June, there will end up being a tournament in the OEC, and that tournament here at the OEC will be held here at Fullerton College. And we will be out here on SportsNetUSA.net. So you will have a regular season winner, Ryan, and a tournament winner, and then the season will come to an end.
It's very similar to what you would see in, well, the Orange Empire Conference basketball-wise. As what you would normally see is a conference champion, and then later on you would see that tournament champion in years that there are tournaments played. Like, for example, also in the NCAA, you see that a lot, where you have a regular season champion, they get the automatic berth into the postseason, and then the postseason champion ends up getting that secondary one.
Dufresne just fouls that pitch off. It's Dufresne, Arredondo, and Ferguson, followed by Lucero if somebody gets on base.
But it's different in that this season, as you mentioned, Mark, regular season champion, tournament champion, but there's no postseason after that to end up getting a berth into.
Do you like that?
I do like the fact that there will be a tournament. I'm not really sure why there wouldn't be a postseason with the remaining teams.
Yeah, I do too. And you know what? It was interesting at the baseball game yesterday. We were all talking. If this was a regular season, this could be the year, if Lopez's arm would last in the circle, that Fullerton College could win a state championship. They really do look unbeatable.
They do. It's a very different team than what we've seen, especially in the last, what, we'll say 8 or 9 years here at Fullerton. And it's interesting, Mark, because you look at this Fullerton team, over the last 7 years, each and every season you see them take a leap in improvement.
So Dufresne with a 1-2 count, no one on. Fullerton down by 1. Takes that outside for a ball. So the Hornets continue their quest to be the best in the OEC. Dufresne, chopper, hitting over to Parker Islascus, makes a nice throw. She's played excellent at third base for the Rustlers here today.
And what you want from a third baseman, a solid third baseman, Mark, is, and you and I were talking about it a couple days ago, you want them to have the cool calmness at third base to know that if they knock something down, they can make up for it with their arm. And not just, oh, I'm going to pick up the ball and just toss it over to first as quickly or as wildly as possible, but the calmness and collectiveness to be able to pick up that ball and say, I have time, let me make a good, solid throw to first, and if the runner beats it out, then the runner beats it out with their speed, but I believe in my arm to get it over there.
Yeah, and she's got that over at third base, too. She's a really good softball player. Designated player. Aradano comes up for the Hornets. Batting .355 this season. She gets up, and every other time she's on, Ryan, she gets on base. Her on-base percentage is .500. Thank you very much as she drives the ball through the middle and letting me know she just doesn't walk, that she can hit the ball also.
Now, if there is one weakness for this Fullerton College entire offense, Mark, it's the fact that for some reason during the back half of their batting order, you'll see them have days where they are on fire and pushing the pace of play, especially on the base paths, or you'll see them be very quiet. The top half of the order, very consistent and solid. Back half of the order, not as consistent, still putting up good numbers, but you want to be able to see them go back-to-back games in giving you good, solid numbers at the plate, 2 for 3s, 3 for 3s, rather than an 0 for 2 with a couple strikeouts.
Madison Ferguson in the middle of the lineup. You look at Madison batting .297. And yeah, you really do like to have a softball lineup that is solid from top to bottom. Now, that doesn't always happen. Madison, another one of those. Gets on base about every third at bat. Maybe a little over that when you look at the numbers. Nice slugging percentage of .435. Everybody hitting that first game. But you look at the hits in the first game. Now you look at what's going on here in the second game, and this is a 1-0 game as that's fouled into the glove for a strike. 3-2, 1 out, runner at first. Aradano with a solid single up the middle for a base hit. Drives it to right field, taken out of the air there by Garcia. So 2 down for the Hornets, trailing 1-0 right now here on SportsNetUSA.net. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, and the old guy just tagging along. Lucero now is up. Corey Nayland adding commentary from home, was the broadcaster yesterday for our baseball game. Lucero, little easy pop out. Davia over at shortstop. And the Hornets, once again, are denied from getting on the board. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. As we head to the top of the third, going a little quicker than the last game. It's Golden West College 1, Fullerton College 0 on SportsNet USA.net.
Mark, just yesterday you were talking about our friend, no, actually make it Tuesday. You were talking about our special caterer who, if he was at a softball game, would tell you out of nowhere these names that nobody else would recognize because of how far back he goes into the softball world. Just a few moments ago, he ended up sending us a name. He says that over at third, she looks like Dawn Skinner at third, who played travel ball with the Mustangs back in the day.
And the reason he knows that is ask him to tell you who should be in the Hall of Fame at Hampton, who also played, and if I'm not mistaken, he'll let us know, that person also played on that travel ball team too. So let's see, Corey Nalen. Am I right on that? Is the mystery player also a travel ball player on that same team?
Well, he also, before he gets to that, he also added in Don's niece, Ashlyn Booker, played at Mount Sac, and is 5th in home runs in a single season in CCCAA history with 22, and ended up going to that other school in Southern California.
Long Beach State.
Long Beach State.
So Corey Nalen, we'll see if Corey gives me the answer on that too, because I think Corey was lucky enough as a youngster to watch the young woman play that he was talking about.
A quick refresher on the batting orders for both these two teams. You start off with Jasmine Ramirez, Marissa Garcia, Sienna Parker Islas, Jasmine Vasquez, Lali Rios, Senny Viramontes, Sarah Carpio, joined by Rayanne Ballesteros and Casey Villa.
So Hernandez will come up and start things off here in the top of the third. So Villa is up now for Golden West College. Batting shortstop today. Lopez ends the second with 3 consecutive strikeouts. And Ryan, there's a little more speed on her pitches.
That's one thing about Lopez. Once she gets those consecutive strikeouts, and it happens every time she gets back-to-back strikeouts, then all of a sudden you start seeing that velocity go up. You start seeing more movement in her pitches, and you see her just start attacking batters.
That next one fouled away.
And you know what, Mark? There is one inanimate object that is quite happy to be here at softball today, and that is our behind-the-plate camera.
Why? Because it's not getting beat up like it does in baseball?
That's absolutely correct.
Next pitch taken high and away. 1-2 count. Down and away. So the defense creeping in at the corners for the Hornets. Ryan set that defense for you. Lucero a couple feet in front of the bag at first. Driving in the alley. And so, Ryan, you brought it up. A much more aggressive hitting team in game number 2. You look at the first 3 innings. Walk, a hit, you go to the second inning, they start off with a hit, you look at the 3rd inning. Golden West comes again and starts off with another hit.
And it's all a matter of what pitches they're going after. We saw in game number 1, it was pitches numbers 3, 4, and 5, and they would get themselves behind in counts. Lopez was able to dictate how each at-bat would go. Here in game 2, you're seeing Golden West go after the first couple pitches in the zone, and it's allowing them to control how they go up to the plate.
Jasmine Rodriguez up now, playing center field today for Golden West, batting 147 for the year. Drops a beautiful, Dufresne picks it up, only one place to go. And so Rodriguez drops a beautiful sacrifice bunt. And doing like the Hornets did, advancing a runner. And once again, they have a runner in scoring position. Okay, so I was wrong, thinking that the player I was talking about was on the team, but if if Corey Nail and we ever get to sit here on a softball field face to face, we might be able to get a little story going from Corey Nail to talk about one of the better players from Hampton College and who should be in the Hall of Fame over there. That one fouled away. Garcia struck out her first time up in the game. Golden West up 1-0 over your Fullerton College Hornets here on sportsnetusa.net. A walk, a hit, a double steal, and they're leading this game. Snatched out of the air, a high fastball by Natera, and we're going to get a little timeout as Speedy's going to go out there and sort of settle her pitcher down in the circle right now, Ryan, because it's not the same presence we saw in that first game.
And especially not the same presence that we saw last week, Mark. We saw Lopez last week, and she was just commanding. She had 10 strikeouts through her first 4 innings in total, and we saw her just go after each and every batter. And what you saw, Mark, is that she not only controlled the plate, she was able to control at-bats with pitches that she didn't leave in the strike zone.
Right.
Pitches that she left off the plate and was able to get them to chase after. What you're looking at right now is that Lopez is trying to find her location right now. And what you're seeing more from her is that she's aiming her pitches rather than tossing them. She's still got really good break on her pitches, still has really good rise on her fastball right now. It's a matter of whether or not she's able to get it across the plate or get batters to chase after them.
So we saw her in the first game come away with a victory. That one's down and away. Were you surprised to see her come out as a starter here in game 2?
No, especially with the way that the previous game ended, where Fullerton had a chance to end up getting a 14-1 win. They ended up seeing multiple players get on base for Golden West, and they also got a run back. So I think when you're Fullerton, looking at how Santa Ana beat Cypress earlier today, it gives you the opportunity to say, let's go get this second one and assure that we at least have a tie with Cypress. That's where part of that scoreboard watching comes into play, Mark, because if Cypress ends up winning earlier today, I don't think that you see Lopez to start this game.
Strange crosswind blowing in from right field here at Fullerton College. Little slap down the line, that's going to be foul.
And here's something that's another wrinkle, Mark. Cypress in their series this week lost twice. So now Fullerton has a really big opportunity with a win here to get themselves even higher in the standings.
Yeah, and we've heard this year and looked this year, maybe Brad Pickler's team has gone down a step. Fouled away again. And we know this Fullerton College team has found that 2019 sort of feel on the softball field. Two and two, 1 out, runner at second for Golden West College. It's off the plate, 3-2's the count. Golden West with that 1-0 lead, lost the first game in a run rule game. Bounces back heroically here in this game. Came out and scores first as we're sitting here 1-0. Fouled away again. A great at-bat by Garcia. She's seen about every pitch she can from Lopez.
And that's a way to shake a pitcher if you're up at the plate. You go up there, you foul off as many pitches as possible. Now you're getting into the pitcher's head because now in the circle she's thinking, well, what do I have to throw to get this batter out?
Fouled off again. And if you're the defense too, you keep waiting for it. You start to relax on multiple pitches as an infielder. moving the defense around for Fullerton. Fouled away again. Ryan, you watch Clarissa Hernandez in center field. She comes in so shallow every once in a while that if you actually can hit a line drive, you might get it by her.
And the reason why she's able to do that is because her speed makes up for it in center, Mark. She can cover a lot of ground.
Fouled off again.
If I'm not mistaken, this should be pitch number 9 of this at-bat.
So Rooney, Hernandez, Ferguson in the outfield, all about the same depth. What a fantastic at-bat by Garcia.
What's even better, Mark, is you saw her watch that pitch all the way into the glove. She knew that she was going to take that no matter what from Lopez. And that's a really close pitch to have to take, especially with 2 strikes on you.
So 2 runners on here in the top of the third, leading by 1. There's a great deal of promise when you watch this Rustler team. Parker Islas, who started this game off with a base hit when she came up. Takes that first one for a strike.
And as of right now, Mark, through winning percentage, Fullerton is now number 1 in the Orange Empire Conference with an 857 an 867 to an 818 of Cypress. So both teams have 2 losses, but Fullerton with 5 more wins. And that is mainly the answer to your question as to whether or not you're surprised to see Lopez here in game number 2. Not a surprise considering that they can actually go an entire game above in the loss column to Cypress with a win here.
Pitch by Lopez off the plate.
And Mark, I mean, you've seen Cypress and Fullerton play over the last few years. It's got to be pretty encouraging to this Fullerton softball program, seeing themselves battling it out with a Cypress team that for a long time really plagued them.
Yeah, I mean, Cypress has had Fullerton's number. So that one is fouled off. And if it is where your team is improved as well as it has, Fullerton, behind 2 very strong coaches, and Brack Pickler's team has dropped a hair because of talent, this is the year that Fullerton could take the title. Unfortunately, no state championship this year. Driven hard. D. Ramirez goes to third. And gets the force out.
Mark, what you like to see there at short is that she checked her options before she delivered over to third. You saw her progress from that first base opportunity, looking at second to see where her second baseman was, and then decided to go to Dufresne. This is where it goes back to what you were talking about, being active in the field, even when a long at-bat is going on. Casey Dufresne over at third, a lot of times you'll see a third baseman get lulled to sleep.
Deep fly ball to left field. Stays in there and drops. 1 run in. Throw to third. Not in time. And Ryan Osborne, the aggressiveness, and we're going to keep saying this day after day after day, the aggressiveness of this Golden West College team in this game compared to the first game has paid dividends for them.
The other thing is, Mark, is that you've got wind coming in from center field. More going over towards, or actually, excuse me, it's coming in from left field going over to the first baseline. That ball was smacked out to left.
Another one short and center is going to take it. D. Ramirez takes control of this inning, but not before Golden West College gets another run on the board. 1 run on 1 hit. No errors and 2 left on base. As we head to bottom of 3, it's Golden West College 2, the Hornets nothing here on Sportsnet USA.net. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko here watching the action today. Corey Nalen at home doing something. I'm not quite sure, but we know he's doing something.
He's preparing our delivery for today.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
I believe so.
You know, when you talk about preparing things, Ryan Osborne, and you talk about what I started talking about before, some of the teams, you got to talk about some of the players. Jordan Ball right now, who's the #1 softball player in the nation. She's out of Nebraska, La Vista. She's just signed with Oklahoma. When she was in the circle for her Monarchs over her 4-year career, she finished winning 54 straight games. And she went 95-3. And that young lady's going to Oklahoma. The thing that I found really satisfying about this is some of the young ladies, of course, Oklahoma's going to get Quincy Lilo out of Great Oak in Temecula. She's going to Oklahoma. Sophia Nougat out of Los Alamitos. She's batting .520 with 5 home runs. She's going to Oklahoma. If you're an Oklahoma fan, you've got to be delighted on what's going on. Stevie Hansen, though, is at least going to Oregon. Sydney Sanders out of San Marcos is going to be going to Arizona State. So some of the Pac-10 teams are getting some of the top young women that have already committed these last couple of years. And fortunately for us at the Pac-12 fans, we're going to get to see them play.
As Senny Viramontes goes back into the circle for Golden West, you see her stats there. 0-4, 15 2/3 innings pitched entering today. A 9.38 ERA and a 2.68 Ks per 7 rate. She has not pitched like that so far against the best team in the Orange Empire Conference standings-wise to this point.
But Ryan, isn't there that luxury if you get a couple runs at the first, you sort of take that deep breath and go, hey, we're hitting Lopez, and I know I can pitch against her?
There is, and it's kind of a comfort level, especially in the circle, because that gets you into a rhythm saying, you know what? If I make a mistake over the plate, I've got insurance behind me. I've got runs on the board. So you can go out there and you can just throw according to your pitching staff's game plan. What I mean by that, it's, you know, too often you have that coach speak. Oh, we just got to go out there, play our own game, throw our own game, and we're fine. What I mean by that is that you have the opportunity, if your best pitch is your curveball, if your best pitch is your rise pitch, you can go to it without having to be scared about where the location is. Because if you make a mistake, you have your offense clicking against one of the best pitchers in the Orange Empire Conference. It gives you a level of peace of mind.
So you flip one out to left field. Garcia comes underneath it. And once again, one out as Lopez comes to the plate. Flares it off down the right field line. Lopez skies at the left field. Usara goes over there. Garcia takes it out of the air for out number 2. So that takes us back up to Dee Ramirez, who grounded out the third base her first time up. And we had an ERA of what in the circle?
9.38.
And right now she's throwing a 1-hitter against this Hornet team.
9.38, and that's still going to be too low for Corey Nalen.
Well, if you take the 3-8 off at the end, you'd be around Corey's number.
Well, you know, you got the 3-8. You take that off. You got 9 players on a softball field at any given time. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, it works for some coaches. So D works her way on with 4 straight balls. Miss Gonzalez comes up. Grounded out the third herself in the first inning. Tries to drop a bunt to get on base.
Our other fellow broadcaster
Boy,
taking exception to that.
you know, runner is going to be out, stepping out of the box. Again, that's twice in this game, Ryan.
And even worse for Fullerton, that would have been a double down the line as that one hit the chalk over to our left-hand side and immediately went into the corner.
And Ryan Osborne, we weren't on the air with Rashawn Haylock in that first game. But you and I sat here and I said to you, if I was the Golden West College coach, I'd be standing up because the Hornet hitters are so far up in the box. In that first game, multiple times you could have questioned if they stepped out of the box.
And that's what the umpire is explaining to Coach Speedy right now, is that he says that on the first couple of pitches that were that contact was made, he missed it. And so on the next one, he said he wasn't going to give the opportunity for that to happen once again. And if that foot came out of the box, he was going to call them on it.
You know, we were talking about that young lady who knows Corey Nalen and is related to Corey Nalen, his cousin Tara. She's in the top 20 in the Glory season wins in the CCCAA, and the CCCAA, like Corey says, needs to update their records to let her know. Just a wonderful young woman, a talented softball player, and she doesn't give herself enough credit.
And Mark, we're going to see we might see a change here in the circle.
So the Hornets, once again, get no runs on no hits, no errors, and 1 left on base. So I'm going to let you say that young lady's name because I don't want to butcher it.
Celeste Paniagua.
Paniagua is now in the circle. Thank goodness I have Ryan Osborne sitting next to me. So Celeste Paniagua
Sounds
is
good,
in
Mark.
the circle. Got it right. There we
you
go.
go.
Celeste has appeared in 5 games. She's thrown 15 innings so far this season. And when you look at Celeste's ERA, it's under 1. 0.89 for Celeste Paniagua. So she's pitched 15 innings. She's given up 13 hits, 5 runs, 2 were earned, 4 strikeouts, and 10 walks. So once again, Golden West College starts an inning off with a runner at first base. As Viramontes gets hit by a pitch, so she's over at first. So we're in the 4th inning. Celeste Paniagua from the circle brings it home. Just a little low. Oh, they called a delayed strike. Oh my goodness. No call was made. The catcher gets up and starts walking to the circle, and then the strike is called. 1-1's the count. Bunt is dropped, picked up by Dufresne. Flip over to first, throw back to second. So again, fundamentally sound softball by Golden West College. Get a runner on, drop the bunt, move the runner to second, Ryan Osborne, and now once again, Golden West for 3 innings in a row, well actually 4, have a runner in scoring position.
We keep going back to it. It's that aggressiveness at the plate that they're having. They're not allowing Fullerton to get ahead of counts very early.
Dufresne makes a nice little play over at third base as she looks at Carpio, who goes too far off a second. Stops instead of heading back, stares at Dufresne, who says, "Wait, do I know you?" They met, and one of them walked away out.
Well, and that's the thing, Mark, is that she was caught thinking or assuming that the throw was going to go over to first, and Dufresne wasn't going to check or take a look at the runner. So she takes an extra step, going to swipe that extra bag, in assuming that the routine play would have been taken.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing too, if you're not thinking about what you're doing on there, you get caught flat-footed, and that's what happened. Villa up, had a hit last time up. Ryan, watch her as a hitter, because I tell you what, she's stepping out of the box. She steps down the third baseline as a hitter.
Yeah, and you see it, Mark, just like you mentioned. It's to that top left-hand corner of the right-handed batter's box. And what it is as an open stance type of player, you're seeing the ball with 2 eyes already. So you have a bit more coordination on the ball, so you can read it a bit better and direction it where you'd like it to go.
Runner goes, they can't get her. So Golden West puts the runner in motion because they had a play where the runner at second gets thrown out. And so now, once again, they have somebody in scoring position with someone who's already gotten a hit in this game for the Rustlers. The Rustlers up by 2 here in the 4th inning. Celeste Paniagua brings it home. That's a little low. Different motion than Lopez in the circle.
You look at it, Mark, it's almost like a submarine pitcher in baseball. Her arm is extended away from her body when she lets go of it.
She gets that third strike on a swing, and the Hornets dodge another bullet. As we head to the bottom of the 4th, no runs, no hits, 1 left on base. As we head to bottom of 4, it's Golden West College 2, the Hornets 0 here on SportsNetUSA.net.
And again, we want to welcome you to SportsNetUSA.net. Don't forget that this upcoming week we've got more games here on SportsNetUSA.net on the way. Fullerton College baseball will be back in play on Tuesday afternoon. And you can watch that right here on sportsnetusa.net. Mark Pavlovich and Joseph Pavlenko will be the technical directors, the magic workers, we'll say, with cameras and wiring and tape, making sure that we get on the air here on sportsnetusa.net. A big thank you to Joseph Pavlenko again for making sure that not only we get on the air, but also being behind the graphics here today as well. And if you want more Fullerton College baseball, Fullerton College softball, you just keep it locked right here. As speaking of graphics, the Wizard himself is going to show us our defensive lineups for Golden West, as there have been no changes made thus far. Again, it's Seni Viramontes in the circle. Behind home plate is Jasmine Vasquez. Over at first is Lali Rios, with Sarah Carpio over at second. Casey Villar and Sienna Parker Islas over at third, with Marissa Garcia, Jasmine Rodriguez, and Rayanne Ballesteros in the outfield from left to right. So again, join us on Tuesday. Fullerton College baseball back in action right here on sportsnetusa.net.
You know, one of our coaches, Phil Austin, is associated or was associated with UCLA as the first pitch is fouled. And Phil would love to have somebody say Fullerton College has got a stud playing at their team. Well, UCLA softball is going to get Jayla Castro from Rockland, California. She signed with UCLA. Here's the quote. The Northern California product is a strong power hitter, and she's the biggest stud catcher behind the plate. That's a quote from one of the sites. You know what? UCLA once again grabs another golden tool as they try to get back-to-back championships in the College World Series. Fullerton College is trying to get up here for a tie. Dufresne takes it up the middle for a base hit. Oh, it was Rooney. Took it up the middle. So Rooney gets a base hit. Dufresne's on deck. Dufresne's now at the plate.
Game number one, she had a bomb out to left. The only batted ball that we saw that was really hit hard that actually left the yard. We saw 4 or 5 different balls today that have looked terrific off the bat, but haven't gone out. And hers was the only one that actually flew over the left field fence.
Yeah, and you got to wonder, is it the wind? Because there was one tagged in this game already that you thought was going to be gone.
It is absolutely the wind, Mark, because it's blowing in from that left field fence. It's going directly, if you hit a ball out to left, it's going to go directly into the wind. And why do we say that it's having an effect? Because you look at the flight path of the ball. Every time it gets hit hard, it's getting hit up into the air with a lot of pace, and then all of a sudden it looks like it hits a wall and knuckles its way down. You see, it'd be different, Mark, if it had a lot of top spin or maybe some side spin or back spin to it. Then you see the ball react normally. However, when it hits a wall and knuckles down, that's when you know it's the air movement out in the outfield that's forcing it to come down.
So we'll see if the wind changes, and if it does, Ryan, then we might see another one go in this game. It's Rooney is over at first base getting another hit. You look at Miranda this season batting .444 for this lineup for Fullerton College. Dufresne takes it up in the alley, and it just drops there. And Rooney says, I'm not stopping, and she should have, because they were waiting for her at the bus stop with the ball, and tags her out on the play. Nice play. You go out in the alley, you try to make the catch. You can't quite get there in the alley to make the catch. And what do you do if you're Rodriguez? You grab it, you don't hesitate, you throw it into the infield, and you make the out at third base. Lead runner is gone.
But nonetheless, you like it from Rooney if you're Fullerton College, because she's trying to take that extra bag and get something going for Fullerton College without them necessarily having the same power numbers that they did in game number one. So she's trying to impact the game in a different way than they did earlier to get themselves back in this one.
So
as
far,
Emily
it
Muro
hasn't
is going to
worked.
pinch run over at second. So Dufresne goes to the dugout. Muro is in over at second for her.
Agredano comes up. She had a hitter first time at the plate. So they're putting on a little speed. Agredano batting .355. Gets on base every other time she's up there. On base percentage of .500. Slugging percentage .548. Throw over to third, not in time. And that's where the pinch runner comes in handy. Ball is bobbled behind the plate. Speedy little runner takes off and gets over to third.
And it's a good pitch to take off on too, Mark, because you saw that one not be that inside fastball that we saw a runner get tossed out earlier on. Instead, it's to the outside, and she's able to swipe the bag. And too many people, Mark, think that when you're stealing a base, it's just pure luck on the pitch. But that's not so. As a runner, you can see how the catcher is going to position themselves. You can see whether or not it's going to be high and in tight. You can see if it's going to be a pitch out. It's not all just luck. Oh, wow, I just happened to go on a curveball. Well, lucky for me. No, you can tell according to the positioning and body language of the battery mates. If you pick it out quick enough, you're able to steal it on the correct timing.
So we get another pinch runner over at first base. So Speedy putting a little speed on the corners for the Hornets. And then Emily Murrow now is over at third base for the Hornets.
I believe you have a runner over at first now too, Mark.
And that's Nicole, I think that's, oh no, it wasn't her. It's Jalen Perez is over there now.
Yeah, so Jaylina takes over at first. And Mark, you have two very quick runners in Jaylina Perez and Emily Murrow.
So Madison Ferguson out of Braille into high school comes up. Looking to get something on the board for the Hornets. Takes that one down and away. And there's the delayed steal. So a delayed steal by the Hornets as Jaylina Perez is now over at second base.
Mark, a beautiful pitch there a moment ago. She ends up going to almost an ephus pitch, like you were talking about a couple days ago. That ball floats up, goes eye level, and comes all the way back down to the knees.
Pitch was on the outside. swirling wind. Now we're going to call it. Blowing sideways from left to right. Fouled off. Ryan, I said the dimensions here were 190, 190, 200 straight down, but didn't you tell me it's about 188 down the line?
Yeah, so over in, I believe it was right field, it's about 188 into the corner. But out in right center is the deepest part of this entire park. It sits close to 210, 215, if I remember correctly from what the groundskeeper was telling us.
Slap down the right field line. Bases are loaded for the Hornets.
And with Madison Peavy-House coming up next for the Hornets, she is normally the Game 2 starter for Fullerton College.
Yeah, you look at Madison as she steps up there now. And I think there was a discussion if somebody batted out of order. And it was they had not. Madison's batting .250. She's got an on-base percentage of .275, slugging percentage of .306, but one of the top leaders in RBIs on this Hornet team with 10. She fouls that off. There went Joe's car. He'll be carrying all the equipment back to the station. Takes it to right field. It's going to be out of play. So 0-2 is the count. Softball, invented in 1887. I was there. It was a rainy day in Chicago. We had nothing to do. Off speed. Rolled up some material, got some broomsticks out, whacked it around. You know what? We didn't let the girls play till 1933. That's what happens. A bunch of mean old men. And now we've decided they are the best in the world. All these young ladies that play the game of softball. Off-speed pitch. Tag. Throw. And a run gets in. So another RBI.
But you like that as Sky Samano comes up to the plate next for the Hornets. You like that from Peavy-House because, Mark, you saw her adjust mid-swing. She thought it was going to be a fastball. It ends up going breaking ball outside, and she leaves her bat head out in the zone as long as she possibly could to just leave it out into left. She knew what the situation was. Fewer than 2 outs, all you need is a fly ball into the outfield to score 1.
Flare down the right field line. It's going to be out of play. So 2 outs in this inning. The Hornets finally get to the board. And at the end of this inning, well, I'm going to have to say adieu because I am, the drive the truck behind this economic growth that's going on in the United States. Throw over to third, not in time. So my partner, Ryan Osborne, is going to take over play-by-play. I made it through. Hey, the over-under, you guys said maybe 2 innings. I made it halfway through the game here on sports@usa.net.
The Hornets were so content to have you on the air, they decided to extend the inning.
They do. They love me here. Flip over to first just in time. The Hornets say they pulled the foot, but the umpire says no. So for the Hornets, they finally get on the board, but it just isn't enough as we end the 4th inning. It's Golden West College 2, Fullerton College 1 here on sports@usa.net. I want to thank Joseph Poplenko always for getting us up here. And for my broadcast partner, Ryan Osborne, guys, thanks for letting me play, getting on the air and watching some great community college softball here on sports@usa.net. So Ryan Osborne, take it the rest of the way home, and I hope the game stays as exciting as it is right now with these wonderful student athletes for both these teams on sports.usa.net.
Thank you very much, Mark. And on that note, we'll leave you with some out-of-town scoreboards. Since Mark is going to be traveling, he gets to travel around the state of California with us. Saddleback currently trailing Santiago Canyon by a 7-3 score in the bottom half of the 6th. Cypress and Santa Ana. Santa Ana's taking it to Cypress right now, 3-0 in the top half of the 6th inning there. So Santa Ana with a really big opportunity to give Fullerton an extra win, or at least allow the Hornets to still maintain ground, even if the Hornets lose against Golden West. Shabbat and West Valley, that one started at around 3 p.m. We'll get you more on that as soon as we get word from up north. Hartnell and San Jose, it's still tied at 0 as they're currently in the middle of their ball game. And Mount Sac and Biola, well, their doubleheader ended up being canceled earlier. So as we get set for this top half of the inning, Golden West College will be coming up to the plate as once again Celeste Baniagua is tossing for the Fullerton College Hornets now. At the plate is Jasmine Rodriguez. She'll be joined by Marissa Garcia and Sienna Parker Islas.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Joe. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Hey, I'll see you Tuesday, Joe, at 10.
Baniagua deals, and that is in the zone, strike 1. And again, we want to thank Mark Pavlovich for joining us here on the broadcast to start us off and take us over halfway through. That's beyond 50%.
It is. I hope work is this easy. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mark. 1 ball and 1 strike. Baniagua to Rodriguez. Again, defensively for the Hornets, you've got Baniagua in the circle. Natera behind home plate. PV House takes over at first for Fullerton. This is over towards left, and it will be lined in there for a single. So Rodriguez is the 5th straight leadoff person for Golden West College to get on board to lead off an inning. Over at second, Natalie Gonzalez stays there. At short is Dee Ramirez. Casey Dufresne at third. The outfield from left to right for Fullerton, as it looks like we have a couple of changes out there as well. In left, Madison Rooney will stay, or excuse me, Miranda Rooney will stay. I apologize on that as that goes down to second. The tag is not there in time. So a stolen base for Rodriguez, and again, Golden West with a runner in scoring position. Sky Samano takes over in center field for Fullerton College. So again, the outfield, Rooney, Samano, and Ferguson. So at first, Madison PV House, and in center is Sky Samano taking over. To home, Baniagua just outside. Marissa Garcia at the plate, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Two and 2 count. Top 5 between Fullerton and Golden West. Up into the air over to second. A diving play is made by Gonzalez. Natalie Gonzalez with a quick first step, and she's able to dive, lay out, and make that catch. Out number 1 is on the board, and that's going to bring up the next hitter for Golden West. As Sienna Parker Islas comes up next. One ball, no strikes. Live here in Fullerton, it is 2-1. Golden West with the lead here in game number 2. Surprising score to this point as this is lined into right field for a single. Rodriguez will hold at third as there goes the throw. Getting towards home is Rodriguez, the tag. They're in time. And Rodriguez is tossed out by an underhanded flip by Natera. So there is out number 2. They get the lead runner. Over to second will be Parker Islas. And that is going to bring up Jasmine Vasquez. Vasquez, first pitch, lines it into the glove of Dufresne. And that right there, Joseph, is something that Fullerton College can hang their hat on and say, you know what, this is how we get momentum going forward. As Fullerton College gets out of the top half of the 5th inning with no runs, 1 hit, actually make it 2 hits, no errors, and 1 runner left on base. It's 2-1. Golden West with the lead over Fullerton College. You are watching Fullerton College softball on sportsnetusa.net. And again, we want to thank you for joining us here on sportsnetusa.net. You know what, Joseph? It's great when the equipment works. It's even better when I remember to plug in the power cord. Sometimes even the broadcasters make errors. So it's 2-1 Golden West. That's where we sit. As Senni goes back out there, she will reprise her role in the circle. And Fullerton College, well, they've got to get some runs going up here in a hurry if they're going to get back in this one. Again, they need to capitalize considering that Santa Ana has taken another lead on Cypress College. It's 3-0 there. 2 runs, 6 hits, and 1 error for Golden West. 1 run, 2 hits, and no errors for Fullerton College. So Celeste Paniagua taking over in the circle a couple innings ago for Fullerton College, and now she has a chance to come up to the plate and help her own cause. As the Hornets are going to go to the bottom of the order, and then they'll flip it right back over. As we start things off with Paniagua, and then we go to D. Ramirez. to home. Baniagua shot to left, but it is going to land in the glove out in left field for the Golden West Rustlers. Making the catch is Marissa Garcia. And D. Ramirez up next. So a line shot out towards left that was, or at least it looked like it was hit with a lot of pace to it. It was indeed, but it goes right into the glove of Garcia. She makes a two-handed catch and one out in the bottom half of the fifth. D. Ramirez gets a called strike. Ramirez doesn't agree with the call, but she turned into that one. Always crowding the plate is Ramirez, and up in the box as well. One out on the board. Ramirez, the right-handed hitter, takes a look at the next pitch as that goes up and high from Viramontes, 1-1. So 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Bottom 5, 2-1 Golden West. Lined over to short. It's going to get through. And that is going to be a hit for D. Ramirez. As over at short, Casey Villa ended up having that go right underneath her glove. Hard play for her to try and make, but for Fullerton College, they will take it, and they've got the leadoff runner on. Or excuse me, not the leadoff runner, but the second runner on. That one stays up and high. 1 ball, no strikes. Natalie Gonzalez up for the Hornets. Delivery home, outside. Back to home, out towards left. This is floated up into the air. Garcia in foul territory makes the catch. There's out number 2. So now if you're Fullerton, you got to be thinking about possibly sending D. Ramirez here. As Rooney is going to step up next. She has had some success in this series, has gotten on multiple times, and has a couple RBIs. Now she'll step in with a runner over at first. And she offers at the first pitch, goes over to short and through. Garcia sees it picked up, tossed to third, and it will get away. Parker Islas watching on as both runners advance for Fullerton College. So that's going to be an error at short. And then we're also going to have an error at third that allows for the runners to advance. So officially it gets scored as a hit, and then a fielding error over at third by Parker Islas, allowing for both runners to advance. Runners on second and third for Fullerton College. Here's Dufresne over to short. It's going to go into the glove and toss to first in time. So a couple end up getting by over at short for Villa, but she makes the important one, and she's able to toss it over to first in time to get Dufresne. The heart of the order for Fullerton College is retired. We go to the top of the sixth. It's still 2-1 Golden West. You are watching Fullerton College softball on sportsnetusa.net. As we take a look at some of the conference standings as they stand right now. Fullerton, 13-2. And you know what? Currently with their 13-2 record, they have the jump on Cypress College, as they have an .867 win percentage compared to an .818 win percentage that Cypress holds. So Cypress is in the 2 spot, Fullerton is in the number or excuse me, Cypress is in the 2, Fullerton is in the 1. After that, then you go to Santa Ana at 7 and 4, and Saddleback at 5 and 6. Saddleback currently trailing Santiago Canyon, who is behind them in the standings at 6 and 9 and the number 6 spot. Orange Coast directly above them, with Riverside opting out, and Golden West to this point is 0 and 15. Can they change that here against Fullerton College and get their first win of the season? We will see in these next couple of innings. So Fullerton College will send out their fielders once again, and we'll reset them in just a moment, as it is Paniagua who ends up reprising her role in the circle for Fullerton. Celeste Paniagua is in the circle, Alondra Natera behind home plate. Over at first is Madison P.V. House, and at second is Natalie Gonzalez. Shortstop of D. Ramirez, with third base being patrolled by Casey Dufresne. Out in left field is Miranda Rooney. Center field being patrolled by Sky Samano, and in right it is Madison Ferguson. Those are the 9 on the field for the Fullerton College Hornets. Still 2-1. That's our score, with the Hornets trailing the Golden West Rustlers, and it's been that way ever since the first inning. Golden West got the opening run on the board in the first, and they added to it in the third. Fullerton gets one back in the fourth, but they aren't able to tie it up in the fifth with 2 on and 2 outs. Two to 1 score. Fullerton, Golden West College, live here from the campus of Fullerton College. The Hornets still trailing it. Paniagua getting set to deliver home, as this will be out towards left center field. Rooney underneath it, she'll make the catch. Lali Rios was the one who ended up batting that one over towards left. And she is out number 1 on the flyout. Paniagua to home. Starting off a new batter. Senny Viramontes has been pitching really well in the circle for Golden West thus far. Paniagua rocks and fires. There's a strike, and it's 1-1. Over towards right, Ferguson underneath it. She'll make the catch. So now you have 2 out. Up to the plate next is Sarah Carpio. And she ends up getting hit on the first pitch, so she'll be on. You know, this is the first inning that Golden West College hasn't had the leadoff runner on base. They do get a runner on, so that streak of 6 straight innings of getting someone on isn't broken here. But nonetheless, they aren't able to get that leadoff runner on. So now they have 1 on over at first, as the first pitch is swung on and sent over to short, as Ballesteros is tossed out at the first base bag. D. Ramirez gets the assist there, and we go to the bottom of the 6th. It's 2-1, Fullerton trailing by 1. You are watching Fullerton College softball on SportsNetUSA.net. Back here on SportsNetUSA.net, Ryan Osborne joining you alongside Joseph Pavlenko as the Hornets trying to get themselves back on the board. 0-1 count to Anaí Agredano. Here Montez to home. That's outside. One ball and one strike. Off the end of the bat, over to short, and it is going to be caught by Villa. So one out, and here comes Ferguson. Ferguson, very speedy runner for Fullerton College. When she gets on base, she is a threat consistently. Leads them in stolen bases. It's a matter of making sure that she gets on. Has about a 380 or so on base percentage. One ball and no strikes for her. To home. And there's a called strike. 1-1. Ferguson out towards left. It's a shot. Garcia comes in initially, and it gets by her. Ferguson motoring over towards second base. She will stop there, and it's a double for Fullerton College. And PV House comes up next with a runner in scoring position. Almost no better runner that you'd want in this situation if you're Fullerton College now on the base paths. And Golden West is sending everyone in the outfield as deep as possible. Left center field, there for PV House if she's able to take it there. One ball and no strikes. Grounds it over to third. It gets over to short. Toss to first is there in time. Nice job by Villa as Parker Islas tried to go after it. And that is going to bring up Sky Samano, still with a runner in scoring position. Two outs on the board. Samano goes after the first pitch, lines it into center field. That's going to get down. Here comes Ferguson. The ball is dropped, and the Hornets have tied the game. Samano just needed one pitch to send it into center, and now Fullerton College with two outs brings up Celeste Paniagua to the plate with an opportunity to score again with Sky Samano, a very speedy runner on the base paths. .net. Again, we want to thank Mark Pavlovich earlier for joining us here on the broadcast. Rashawn Haylock with the call for game number 1 as well. Joseph Pavlenko and myself still here at Fullerton College giving you the action as the Fullerton College Hornets tie it up at 2. And again, one of the big things for Fullerton College is the fact that Cypress has already lost 2 to Santa Ana. They are currently trailing in their game 3-0 to Santa Ana as well. And so if you're Fullerton College, this is a huge chance to make up ground. And if you're a Hornet fan, you are extremely happy at the fact that they were able to tie it up just a few moments ago. Celeste Paniagua stays in the circle for Fullerton as does Natera behind home plate. Over at first is PV House, and at second is Gonzalez. Shortstop of D. Ramirez, third base Casey Dufresne. Out in left is Miranda Rooney, center field Sky Samano, and Madison Ferguson over in right. As everyone finishes up their warm-up toss. See the box score there. Golden West College getting on the board in the first inning, and then in the third, and Fullerton with one in the fourth and one in the sixth. 2 runs, 6 hits, and 2 errors for Golden West College. 2 runs, 6 hits, and no errors for Fullerton. One ball and no strikes. As Villa, who had a nice play in the last half inning, gets a chance to step up now with a 1-1 count as she gets that called for a strike. Here's the 1-1. Down to third. Diving play by Dufresne, but it gets away. That's going to go as an infield hit. As she tried to go after it, it looked like Ramirez was behind her, and there was an opportunity for a play there, but nonetheless, Dufresne with the effort just goes off the end of her glove and to second base. So Rodriguez steps up to the dish now for Golden West. Shows bunt, puts it down the third baseline. Dufresne only one play, toss to first is there. Gonzalez with a secure. And there's out number 1. And again, Golden West College getting the leadoff runner on. So 1 out on the board, runner over at second in scoring position. Marissa Garcia to the plate next for Golden West. To home, she bunts it third base side again. Looking around is Dufresne, she tosses down to third, they've got the lead runner. So Garcia with an excellent bunt, but getting caught in between third or second and third is Rodriguez, or excuse me, is Villa, and that will be out number 2. So Fullerton going to discuss things here in the circle as they get set to face Parker Islas in a few moments. Two outs on the board. Parker Islas, the best hitter for Golden West College, coming up to the plate next. Runner over at first is Garcia. to home. She's taken off, and that is going to be fouled off to the right. Oh and 1 to home. 0 and 2. Big play earlier. Dufresne throwing it to D. Ramirez to get Villa over at third. Now you've got 1 out. That was made over at third and forcing just 1 runner on. 2 outs in the top half of the 7th inning. No balls and 2 strikes. Delivery home. Paniagua just outside, 1 and 2. Wind blowing from left center field to home plate. So in from the outfield. If you haven't been here to Fullerton College and the softball field. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 away, and this is line foul to the right. Here's the 1-2. Again, fighting it off. Just for a moment is Parker Islas. First base side. Fullerton giving direction to Paniagua. Back to home. Going around. They appeal down to second. She did not. And it's 2 and 2. They appeal down to first base to see whether or not the runner went back in Garcia, and they say that she did. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss, and she got her swing. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Fullerton College, if they're going to win it, the rest of the way, they're going to have to do it on a walk-off. It's a 2-2 tie between Fullerton College and Golden West. You are watching Fullerton College softball on SportsNetUSA.net. Ryan Osborne, Joseph Pavlenko, Mark Pavlovich earlier here, all with you at Fullerton College as we get set for the bottom half of the 7th. Game number 1, 14-2 win for Fullerton over Golden West. Run rule victory. Here in game number 2, Golden West controlled for the most of this ball game until the 4th when Fullerton finally gets on the board. They would tack on 1 more in the 6th to tie it up. And that's where we stand at a 2-2 tie. As you see there, the scores from around the state of California, Saddleback and Santiago Canyon, a final in game number 2. Saddleback is able to end up dropping that one 8-3. 8 runs, 9 hits, and 2 errors for Santiago Canyon. Saddleback 3 runs, 9 hits, and 2 make it 3 errors for them. Cypress and Santa Ana has now been deadlocked at 3. Cypress with a 3-run comeback in the top half of the 7th inning, and Santa Ana has to walk it off if they want a win there. Everything else yet to be reported, so we'll get some more on that when we have the information, but a big time comeback for Cypress College. And now this forces the hand of Fullerton. They've got to get a win here. keep pace with Cypress, as they're both in the same situation. They were down early on, and now in their respective games have tied it in the bottom half of the 7th. So D. Ramirez is the first one up, 1 ball and no strikes. She'll be followed by Gonzalez. Ramirez gets in front of it and sends it down the left field line, foul. One ball, 1 strike. Ramirez at the plate. Infield slightly back, especially with Parker Islas over at third. That bounces in, 2-1. First base dugout for Fullerton College, trying to get into this game. Ramirez, high strike. Here's the 2-2. Ramirez into the air, floated out towards right. Ballesteros is trying to get to it, and she will make the catch. Ballesteros lost it for a moment as the wind was catching up to it, but she's able to make a diving basket catch for out number 1. One out. Here's Gonzalez down to third. Picked up Parker Islas down to first, and it's there in time. Very quickly, Miranda Rooney is going to come up next with 2 outs on the board. Reminder that if we go into extras, there will be the international tiebreaker rule, which puts the previous made out in the last inning on second base to start off the inning. This is over towards left center field. Rooney gets there with a single. And Casey Dufresne coming up next. So Dufresne, first pitch, way up and high. Runner at first is Rooney. Odds are you're not going to see a runner for Fullerton College for Rooney, as there are 2 outs in the inning. Dufresne already with a home run today, not in this game, but in the previous one. 1 ball and 1 strike, as she takes a look at that one all the way through. To home. Dufresne into center field for a single. And that brings up Anaí Agredano. In the circle for Golden West College. 2 outs on the board. The game-winning run is over at second base. Coach Speedy over to our right, looking at Agredano and giving her a pep talk, if you will. Giving her a lot of confidence. That's something that we've seen from her a lot, is that she is able to give a lot of confidence to her hitters before they go up to the plate. They've mentioned it to us as well off the air. That's one of her best attributes, is instilling the ability to go up to the plate and go up there with no pressure on. Agredano with a 2-2 ball game and runners on first and second. One ball, no strikes, 2 away. Agredano takes all the way. So now that there's 1 strike called against her, now is when you're going to start seeing her swing away. Just like Dufresne in the previous at-bat, takes the first pitch for a called strike, and then after that, anything close, she will offer out. 1 ball, 1 strike, and 2 gone. Rooney at second, Dufresne at first. To home. And this is off the handle of the bat and fouled to the right. One and two. Agredano. Strike 3 call. Beautiful pitch there by Viramontes. And down go the Hornets. We go to the top half of the 9th. Make it the top half of the 8th, as I can count better. Count more? One of those two. It's 2-2. It is 2-2 as Fullerton and Golden West are still deadlocked. You are watching Fullerton College softball on SportsNetUSA.net. So game 1 here started off at 12 p.m. And it took to about 3 p.m., 3:30 or so to finally finish up and finish the break. As they're getting some clarifications on who's going to be on over at second base for Golden West College. And for Golden West, coming up to the plate next will end up being Jasmine Vasquez. Sienna Parker Islas will be the one over at second base. Paniagua still in the circle. Cypress and Santa Ana also going into extras, as Santa Ana was not able to get on the board in the bottom half of the 7th inning. So both Cypress and Fullerton, the top 2 teams in the Big West, or make it the Orange Empire Conference, currently battling it out. As we're going to reset the defensive lineups for Fullerton College for you. Celeste Paniagua is in the circle. Behind home plate is Alondra Natera. At first is Madison P.V. House, and at second is Natalie Gonzalez. Shortstop of D. Ramirez. Third base is Casey Dufresne. Outfield from left to right is Miranda Rooney, Sky Samano, and Madison Ferguson. So runner at second to start. The tiebreaker rules in effect. Top of the 8th. Bunted straight behind home plate and foul. No balls and 1 strike. It's Vasquez at the dish, starting at catcher, as is the case the entire way for Golden West. Vasquez, shot to left, and it's foul. Oh, and 2 count. No one out. Top 8. Runner at second takes a look. Next delivery out towards right center field. Here's Ferguson. She's got it. She's going to come up throwing. Throw down to third. Will get all the way down to Dufresne. And she will bring it back to Paniagua. So 1 out. Now you've got Rios up next. To home. Rios. There's a called strike. No balls. 1 strike, 1 away. 2-2 tie. To home. Swing and a miss. And Rios, it has an 0-2 count. Outfield straightaway. Next up for Rios. Gets contact with it. Goes back into the circle. Paniagua trying to find it. Only play over to first. And there's out number 2. But the go-ahead runner is down at third. And Viramontes up next. Two outs on Paniagua going against Viramontes. Viramontes starts off the count with a 0-1 strike to the outside half. Dufresne, Ramirez, Gonzalez, Peavy House. In the infield, outfield is Rooney, Samano, and Ferguson. Battery mates of Paniagua and Natera. To home. Swinging, and that goes directly behind home plate. Natera to chase after it, and it's 0-2. So Paniagua has been up 0-2 on every single batter she's faced here in the 8th. Oh and 2. Over to second. Picked up by Gonzalez to first, and it's there in time. And now the Hornets come up to the plate with a chance to walk it off. 2-2 tie as we go to the bottom half of the 8th inning. You are watching Fullerton College Softball on SportsNetUSA.net. So the 8th inning, the top half at least, for Golden West, they're able to get that runner over to third, but that's it. Now Fullerton College with a big chance here to get themselves a victory, stay above Cypress in the standings. Viramontes going to go back out there. She has pitched all 7 thus far for Golden West College. Defense remains the same for Golden West, which we'll get to in just a moment. Any lineup changes for Fullerton we will discover in a second as well. Sienna Viramontes in the circle. Jasmine Vasquez behind home plate. Lali Rios over at first. Sarah Carpio at second. Casey Villar over at short. And Sienna Parker Islas is at third. Marissa Garcia out in left. Jasmine Rodriguez and Rayanne Ballesteros at first. As I believe that's Jaylena Perez for Fullerton College to be determined over at the second base bag. And it will in fact be Maya Osagura. So Ferguson comes up for the Hornets. And the Hornets again with the runner in scoring position, all they have to do is push that runner across home plate. And they come away with a walk-off, come from behind victory. Bunted directly in front of home plate, and it ends up going behind. And Ferguson out in front of that one is behind in the count 0-1. No balls, one strike. Ferguson shows bunt, brings it down, third base side. Only play is over to first. They get it there in time. But now the game-winning run is just a few feet away down at third. Fullerton College with PV House coming up next. Outfield one step in. PV House at the plate. Again, Fullerton with a runner at third, thanks to the international tiebreaker rule. 1 ball and no strikes with 1 away. Anything into the outfield presumably would bring the runner coming home. Grounded over to third and foul, 1-1. So PV House not appearing in the circle for Fullerton in game 2, but a big chance for her to still get Fullerton College a victory. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Last run for Fullerton College came in the bottom half of the 6th. Delivery home. PV House out towards right. That's fading to the corner and foul. A classic game here for Golden West and Fullerton College. And if you're Golden West College, knowing that you had the lead for so long against the #1 team in the conference, has to be encouraging. 1 ball and 2 strikes, but they're looking to shut them down here and get themselves into the top half of the 9th. Here's PV House out towards left. It's smacked. It's deep. It is deep enough to be caught. Here comes the runner, and Fullerton College wins it. Fullerton wins it in walk-off fashion as they come from behind. They were down 2-0 in this one in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 6th, and walk-off win in the 8th. 3-2 our final, as that's going to do it for us here on SportsNetUSA.net. 14-2 in game number 1 for Fullerton College over Golden West, and they win it here in a walk-off 3-2 in game 2, as Santa Ana has also walked it off. So the Hornets gain another game on Cypress College to pad to the standings. We want to thank Rashawn Haylock earlier today for being here for game number 1. Big thank you to Ed Ford as well for getting us on the air on SportsNetUSA.net. Thank you to Mark Pavlovich for starting this game off. He did end up going half the game, Joseph. He left in the after the end of the 4th. We go all the way to the 8th. So Fullerton College with a win here, 3-2. They go to 14-2 this year. And on the other side for Golden West, they drop down to 0-15. For Joseph Pavlenko, I am Ryan Osborne, thanking you once again for joining us. And don't forget, on Tuesday, at 2 p.m., more Fullerton College baseball will be right here on SportsNetUSA.net. 3-2 a final with the win over top of Golden West. You have been watching Fullerton College softball on SportsNetUSA.net.